All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cake, but no cake in conversation. And I'm really excited to have my guest today is Keri Thompson, who
Thank you
is,
for having me.
she's chair, as you probably all know, a very familiar face here in town, chair of the Cohasset Select Board. So welcome. I'm really
Thank
glad
you
to
for
have
having
you
me.
here.
I would do anything for the library.
Oh, that's so nice to hear. We might take you up on it. I'll probably have you come for a live program.
I would love that.
Yeah, I want to get everybody that I've had these recorders, get them all in together. We'll have a ton of cake and we'll just hang out and eat and chit chat. It'll be
That
fun.
would be so fun. As great as a tool as Zoom is, I think we all really miss the in-person
Yes,
connection.
yes. Although I do have to say, for me, this is a lot less stressful than
That's
having
true,
a
too.
whole, live audience. But
Yep.
it's fine. Everybody's so nice in this town too, and a lot of
It really
familiar
is a special.
faces.
It's a special place. It really
It
is.
really is. Now,
Mhm.
how long have you lived here?
I have lived here about 9 years, and I fell in love with it. I lived in Hingham a little bit before that, and just always felt a special connection with Cohasset. Had a lot of friends here, and was able to move here, about a decade ago. And
Yeah.
I've been in love with this town and the community and the people in it ever since.
Oh, that's great. I moved here. I was totally unfamiliar with Cohasset.
Mhm.
This was almost 30 years ago. My husband and I were driving through. We'd been house hunting, but west of Boston. And I said,
Yep.
this is it. It's so beautiful.
I think you do get that feeling, right? Where you just drive into the town and it feels like home, right?
Yes.
And we'll never be townies. I know that you have to go back generations. It's a very New England thing to be from a place, but I do think Cohasset is really good about welcoming new people into town.
Yes, it is. I find it a very, very friendly town,
I
and
do
I love
too.
it here. And I've raised
Mhm.
my kids here, and this is it for me. I'm not going anywhere. So you are in your third year on the
I
select
am.
board, and what a doozy of past 3 years it's been for you.
It has been quite a whirlwind. When I first ran for select board, I never expected we would be facing a worldwide pandemic. I never expected we would have to declare a state of emergency that we are still in, by the way, as a town, and that we're coming on 2 years of having to deal with this. So it has been not at all what I expected, but also a really remarkable experience. And I think this entire last 2 years has shown how resilient Cohasset is and how good we are as a community. And yes, we've had some bumps along the way, just like every town and city in the world, but I'm really impressed with how the town has dealt with everything the past 2 years. I am.
I do too, and in handling all sorts of sort of local emergencies, not the pandemic, but the snowstorms,
Yes.
all these power outages we've been having in recent years, and just the warming
Yeah.
stations and having trucks up so we can charge our devices and things like that.
And so much of this is because of the people in our community and the relationships I think a lot of our town leaders have. We have a really great emergency management team. We have a wonderful police chief and fire chief and town manager who all work together in these situations and who really try to coordinate messaging and make sure people are safe. And again, I think it's because of that small town community where we have the relationships built up with all of these people who are able to communicate very quickly and effectively under situations that are maybe stressful or emergency type situations. Fingers crossed this weekend won't be too bad of a storm.
I know. This is what we're going to be airing this February 1st,
Yep.
the month of February, but
So
we have a storm. So future us will know. But
exactly.
now we have no idea what's in store for us this coming
and we
weekend.
joke that we lost so many trees during this last storm, which was shocking how many trees we lost. You're hoping we won't lose as many now because of that.
Who's left? Yeah.
It's not the snow that is the problem for us as a town, it's the wind, right?
Yeah.
And then what happens with our power lines and our power grid and our infrastructure, which is something we've been trying to work really hard on the past few years. But you can't get it fixed quickly enough for storms
Yeah.
within a matter of weeks.
Right. My worst was that, were you here in 2013 when we lost power, that winter
Yep.
storm? That
I had
was
just moved here not too long
awful.
ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a really bad one.
October was bad, but at least, I didn't feel like we were going to freeze to death. This
I know
2013.
New Englanders like to say that we're really hardy and tough, but
Yeah.
once you're going on a couple days without power, it's
Right.
not fun.
Without caffeine and a hot shower, forget it.
Exactly.
Speaking of communication, I know that that's sort of a term that the selectmen have been, or select board has been focused on lately. You're looking to hire a communications person. And it is hard now that the Mariner is a shell of itself.
I know.
It is very difficult to really find information just about a variety of topics.
Especially
and not just everybody's
accurate.
opinion about
I know.
something, but the real meat of an issue or event or anything.
You said that perfectly. And this is such a broader societal problem that we're dealing with, especially as we're seeing local journalism struggling across the country. We're seeing smaller newspapers die. And that's a critical problem, because when that happens, you see people searching for facts and information and end up on places like Facebook, like social media, which, as you know, can be wonderful tools, but they also can be tools for misinformation and things that aren't true. And it has become a big problem in town. And I think we're trying to look at the broader picture of how we as a town can better communicate what's going on, what the facts are, what the select board's working on, what our other boards and committees and volunteers in town are working on. I actually think hiring this communication staffer is going to be a game changer for us, because it will help coordinate our messaging and do a better job of messaging. And we have so many platforms to communicate with in life now, right? And so much of that is generational. We used to be getting messages across through people's landlines and, our local news channels and newspapers. And that's not the only way to get communication through, and different people are searching for different avenues. So being able to be better about coordinating messaging efforts, especially on social media, and figuring out ways that we can hit all ages, all ranges of our population in town, right? The way that, someone in their 80s in town is going to be getting information is very different than our high school students looking for information, right? So we have to do a better job at expanding the way that we communicate as a town. And for that reason, it was a huge goal of our select board, actually our first goal that we set this past year, because there's such a need for it. And because we don't see as much local journalism happening, we have to do a better job at getting facts and information and critical stuff out to people, and also fun stuff too, right? Like, I think we have so much that's great going on in town that a lot of times will get overshadowed by the negative topics. So for example, the story walk at the library, such a fantastic, cute idea. If you have not gone out to see that yet and you're watching this, go out and see it. It's really great. I hope we can do that more in future years. But, stuff like that, letting the town know that it's happening, letting the town know about events, the fun things that are happening around town, what staff and employees are doing. We just have so much good news, I think, that oftentimes gets overshadowed too. So it's about just, exactly.
But you don't want to keep it all just good, feel good stuff too. You want real meaty issues on both sides. So this person, I think, really has their job cut out for it, but kudos to the town for seeing that there is a real need for this and addressing it.
And we do have a job call out now, so it is circulating out in the world. So if you know anyone, or if someone watching is interested, please apply.
That's great. Yeah, and they can do it through the town website.
It is on the town website. Yes.
Yeah. I've seen that.
Which, on our communications plan, by the way, we are hoping to revamp and get a new town website too. Because I know that our website is not, library website's better, but our town website is not really that intuitive or easy to use. It's kind of straight out of, the 90s, like a lot of municipal websites are. That is just not how websites work anymore. So we need to come into this century with our town website.
The one thing I always scramble around with every single time, because my short-term memory is not what it used to be, is how to watch the meetings live, the live streaming. And so I always go to the town website and I'm like, I know it's here somewhere, but it's that little Facebook Live icon.
It's and again, I know that it's not ideal that we're using Facebook to live stream, but you know, they actually have the best platform and service to do it on. So it's, you know, sorry, Facebook is doing it better than us right now. And until we can do it better. And a lot of people have actually said to me that they're watching the meetings more because it is accessible online, right?
It is.
Back in the day, you had to be at home on the local TV channel watching or in person. And that's not how people consume information anymore, especially younger people. We want to be able to watch it live online, live streaming, and then be able to go back and have it there to watch whenever it's convenient for us.
Because what I do, no offense, I tend to fall sound asleep when I'm watching the board meetings. But then nothing makes me to sleep faster. It's fabulous. Thank you. But
it's a total insomnia trick. Absolutely.
Go back the next day and oh yeah, you know.
Really. Hey, we've had people in our meetings fall asleep before, so it's not just you.
But that brings me to the point of what a time commitment being on the select board has to be. And you have to be versed on such a wide range of topics. The homework you must do just to get ready for every meeting. Tell me about that.
It's so much more work than people realize. It's really fulfilling work, and public service is important, and we need more people throwing their hat in the rings to volunteer for these types of positions. But you know, when you think about municipal board members, we are working as hard as people that are getting full paychecks for this, right? So mayors, city councilors, they all get our state legislature, they get full salaries for the work we do. And our job is, it's funny, we actually get, it's about $77 a month with our stipend. So you can add it up to about, you know, a penny an hour.
Oh my gosh.
The stipend is a little ridiculous, but it's a lot of work for, you know, for all of us that are also have jobs and have families and are also trying to navigate everything else going on in the world. So it is really fulfilling, but it's a lot of work, which is why it's so important that we get more people willing to run.
Yeah.
So, you know, even just, you know, the meeting that you see, a lot goes into getting that meeting coordinated. As chair and my vice chair, we always meet weekly to prepare our agendas and figure out what's going to go on the agendas and talk to people who need to be speaking if they are going to be on the agendas, setting up hearings, talking to our town council, our lawyers about if they need to be there and what needs to happen. And just, it's like preparing for a show. Almost, right? Like our live meetings are a performance at that point. They've been coordinated. Obviously, you can never exactly predict how they're going to play out, but for the most part, you have to set time frames for everything. You got to get people on board and ready to attend. So much work and preparation goes into those actual meetings to make them be able to run smoothly. And again, our town staffers and administrative assistants and our town manager are so critical to that, because you do see other towns really struggle with just basic skills of running meetings. And I think we've tried hard to do well at that, but it is a lot of work. It is. And some days it's really fulfilling. Some days it's inspiring and fulfilling, and other days you want to run away.
Well, it's very impressive. And I'm impressed too on how you keep the meetings on point. I mean, it's so easy, I would think, to just digress and have, you know, conversation, start meandering, and you get them, you corral everybody back and
well, that's a big compliment. It's hard. I will say there are sometimes I get off my meetings and I really am hard on myself. Right. And it's especially on the Zoom platform, it changes the dynamic. So I've learned that running a meeting in person is an entirely different talent or set of skills than running a meeting on Zoom, and different personalities play out differently on those different platforms. So thank you for that. I've you know, I think there are things that I could improve on, but it's you really want everyone to feel heard and you want these meetings to be what they're supposed to be. It's for the public,
Mhm.
but you can't always let them go on forever, right? You can't always let some people who are, be rude to other people. You have to really figure out that line of balancing, is everyone being heard without it going totally off the rails? And sometimes that's hard to navigate.
Oh, I would think so, but you do a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Now you have a real full-time job too, a
I
paid
do.
full-time job.
Yes. Yes, it helps to have a paycheck for the other full-time job.
Right?
I am a professor at Emerson College, and
That's
I teach. It's a really fun, wonderful job. I teach.
And what do you teach?
Communication type subjects. So I teach things like public speaking and persuasion and social media, and I also teach political type classes, and I teach leadership. So a wide array of communication classes that are amazing, and my students, they make me better. I learn so much from them. They inspire me always. It's a really fulfilling job that I get to do.
It's a great college. I imagine it's just got so much positive, interesting energy there.
Yes, and it's really the only college in the country that specializes just in communication and the arts. So we have a wide variety of majors, but our real specialties are our School of Arts and our School of Communication and everything that goes underneath those. And it's never boring. It's always a wonderful experience. And we have been still doing it in person the past.
I was going to ask, are you in person?
Yeah.
So you're commuting.
Yes. It's not too bad of a commute at off hours. I'm lucky that I can schedule my classes not during rush hour. But no, it's, higher ed, all of our schools have really struggled the past couple of years, and higher ed has as well. But Emerson's lucky because it is a private school, and we're really blessed to have the resources we've had to be testing and, making sure everyone is safe, and making sure our classrooms are safe and de-densified, and all of our mask procedures. So we have been able to be in person the whole time. It's hard teaching in a mask, I will say. But
I can't imagine. No, they have me. I'm in the historical room here at the library for most of my time, and I just take that mask right out. When I have to do the desk and sit out there for a few hours, oh my gosh!
It's especially teaching a class like public speaking, when I have to have a mask on and all of our students have to have a mask on. You have to just laugh.
Gosh, that's just not fair.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
So that's different from public service, what you're doing. But I did read, I was on LinkedIn that you've worked with politicians before, and
I have. I've always been kind of a political junkie. I've always loved politics.
Have you?
Yes, I actually, my story is I did my undergrad. I grew up in Massachusetts. I grew up in Acton. A lot more landlocked than Cohasset, but it was a wonderful town to grow up in. And I did my undergrad actually out in Illinois. And the story is, and this is a true story, I remember a couple friends of mine, I was starting to get interested in politics then. And I think I was a sophomore that year. And someone said, this guy who's running for Senate, he seems really great, but I don't think that many people are going to show up to hear him speak. And please come because we want him to have a good turnout. And I remember 12 of us showed up to this event on campus that day. And it was Barack Obama. And no one showed up to hear him speak. No one thought he had a chance of winning. And if you follow, Illinois politics, he didn't have a chance. There were 3 other people that were going to win way before he was going to win. And I remember he was there and he was like, my wife doesn't think I'm going to win. And I told her if I lose this Senate race, I'll drop out of politics and get a real job. And it was just, I was able to then volunteer with him and get close with his campaign and follow.
Really?
Yeah. And I ended up writing my master's thesis on his rhetoric, his speeches.
Oh my gosh. That's so exciting.
It was one of those stories that you meet someone and they can be president. And I had that feeling with him. And, I've lived in a couple other states and I've moved back here. And I especially like helping other candidates, especially with their public speaking skills. And when it comes to women running for office too, that's near and dear to my heart. There's data out there that a woman has to be asked at least 7 times to run for office before she'll actually consider doing it. And
Really?
I will tell you, as someone personally who had to be asked multiple times to
Yep.
consider even running for select board, it's true, right? Like women, it's just we make decisions differently a lot of times, and a lot of times we'll be qualified or overqualified for something, but won't feel good enough, right? And we won't feel like we belong in certain rooms, and that imposter syndrome, I think, is always there.
Mhm.
So we also have data too that when women run for office, they do win it an equal amount of time as men do. It's just getting them to run is way harder. So yeah.
So you ran for state rep.
Yeah, that
What
was
it?
that was the worst decision I've ever made.
What was it? Why?
You know, and I tell my students this, it was my biggest failure, but also one of my best stories to tell, right? And I think I mean, the big mistake when I did run for state rep, and this is back in 2016 when it was an open seat in our district, if I'm sure a lot of people remember that. I decided to run as an independent. I thought I was being so creative and, you know, different, and that was a disaster. I do feel like our country at some point will need to expand beyond the two-party
Yeah,
system.
definitely.
We're
Yep.
not there yet. We're going to be there. And I even talk to my students, and I think the younger generations also really want that, because it's just clearly not sustainable in its current form. But it was a disaster. It's like the only thing you actually can get both parties to agree on is that they hate independent candidates. That's the one thing they will agree on. It was really an absolute crash and burn disaster. You know, it was, and I look back on it and it was really hard in the moment, but it was by far my most public failure. And
You know, no, don't look at it adds to your patina.
it's part of my story. Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. And I can laugh about it now and I can talk about it, but you know, would I do it again? Probably not.
Oh, well, how about run for select board again? Is that
In all honesty, I'm still deciding what I'm going to do. It's, you know, I love the job and I love this community, but there's a few other areas of my life that are at play right now in terms of other things that I'm working on. So we'll see. We'll see. I know I need to decide soon, but
yeah, I was surprised,
really,
right? Just, you know, May.
I know.
I mean, I can't believe it's February already.
And we're still in a pandemic, you know what I mean? And just
Yep.
campaigning during a pandemic, watching all my friends and colleagues do it. It's so hard.
Yeah.
I'm really taking a serious, you know, look at if that's the right decision for me or not.
Yeah.
So I'll decide soon, but I'm not being coy either. I genuinely am struggling with the decision.
Well,
I know
it has
that
to be hard too because of the time commitment.
Yeah.
To like travel and you know, do stuff.
There are some things at
Get
Emerson
away.
that I'm not able to do because of this. So for example, another cool thing I'm working on, we have an Emerson prison initiative, and I've had the opportunity to teach at Concord MCI and teach on the
That's neat.
inside. And those are issues that I'm really passionate about. And, you know, stuff like that I really love doing a lot of times has to take a back seat for the select board job. So I'm struggling with where I'm called to be and what I'm meant to do next.
Yeah. I can understand that.
Yeah.
But you're doing a fabulous job. So
Well, thank you. It's a very fulfilling job on most days. Like I said, there are some days where you want to run away and hide from everyone in town, but overall, just the relationships I've made and the people I've been able to meet in Cohasset reminds me how special it is. It really is a special small community, and that can't be replicated in a lot of
it can't. Yeah. Plus, you know, all the dirt that's going on. That's the part I would like. Yeah, I mean, I get some of that here at the library too, but yeah.
There's always good gossip and drama. But again, you can find a lot of that gossip on, you know, our town Facebook pages, the Cohasset 143 page.
Yeah. But let's see. What's your favorite part of Cohasset? Are you a beach,
Oh.
woods, whatever? What,
I'm
what's
definitely a
dearest to
beach
your heart?
person, and I live closer to Black Rock, so I gotta say Black Rock's my favorite. I love Sandy Beach, but
Yep.
anywhere that you have those majestic ocean views are my favorite. So I love the beaches. I actually really love our downtown area too. I
Yeah,
love going to Seabird. I love going to we're having new restaurants coming in. Everyone needs to get
we
excited.
sure are.
We have a few new ones that we've recently approved liquor licenses for. So I really think the downtown is going to be more revitalized too in the spring. But I love the downtown area. I love shopping. I love having drinks and food and
Yeah.
coffee. And
I'm
you always
always
see people you know. Yeah.
so impressed. I'll drive through, on a weekday morning, and it's
Mhm.
hopping down there.
Yeah.
And or weekend Saturdays. And I thought,
Mhm.
this is, people say, oh, there's nothing to do downtown. No, there is. There's plenty to do, and there's plenty of people there celebrating the
Yep.
downtown.
You always see people you know. It's kind of
Always.
that little small town feel. So I love
Yep.
that area too. But I would always pick the beaches.
The beaches. All right.
Yes.
That's good.
It's a good question.
Well, I want to thank you so much for doing this with me. It's been just a delight talking to you.
Likewise.
I've
You asked
enjoyed it.
really
I
good
hope our
questions.
viewers have enjoyed it.
No, this is fun. And we don't often get to talk at length about stuff like this. So I love that you
know.
have this program just for us to get to know each other better.
Yeah, and like I was telling you, I'll put it out there. We're going live again in April, fingers crossed.
I will be there. I'll be there live.
It'll be good. Excellent. All right. Thank you so much, Keri, for doing this. I
Thank
really
you
appreciate
so much
it.
for the invite. I really appreciate it.
And bundle up, get ready for the storm.
Yep. We'll see how it goes Saturday.
See how
Everyone
it
stay
goes.
tuned.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Bye.